All right, today we're talking about Tame Impala. We've all heard the name. Kevin Parker's managed to carve out his own lane in the industry with hits like The Less I Know, The Better, Borderline, Let It Happen, Feels Like I Only Go Backwards, Today I'm going to show you some tips and tricks that you can use right now to make your music sound more like Tame Impala. Let's get into it. All right, so firstly, I think one of the most important parts of this sound is the bass. If we reference both Equipboard and his music, we can immediately tell he's a really big fan of that Beatle bass sound. All right, so if you already have a Hofner, you'll be just fine, but if you're like me and you don't have one, I have a couple tricks that can really help you, as well as a VST option. Number one, we have flat wound strings instead of round wounds. Now, if you put these on your bass, they're gonna have way less high end, they're a little bit more dull, and I'm sure McCartney still uses them to this day. At number two, if you have a modern bass like I do, you can actually just roll off the tone knob. This is gonna cut a lot of the highs anyway and give you a bit of a more dull sound. And then at number three, we have use a pick. I know every proper bass player is gonna be super mad at that, but for this tone, it's pretty essential. All right, at number four, if you don't have a bass, there's a great plugin by Teletone Audio called Retrograde Bass. It has a palm muted preset that sounds really, really good. You have to tweak it a little bit, but it gets you super close. With that said, here's our bass part. I also added a wah pedal on there because I really like how it sounds. After the bass, you need some chords to really lay that foundation down. So for this, I have a stack starting with the iconic strings preset in the Juno 6, the Vespertone Rhodes by Teletone Audio, and then one of my favorite upright pianos from Keyscape. Together, they all sound like this. So in terms of effects, we're breaking some rules here. So first off, I have the Juno chorus. The mix is pretty high and the depth is also pretty low. And then I also have a Valhalla delay on the track. My favorite is the Ghost type of delay, and I have it on a quarter note. Now for the drums, I really like the dry disco sounding stuff that you'll find on songs like The Moment and Let It Happen. So I've chosen some samples that really fit that vibe. So if you're programming your drums, make sure you add a little bit of swing and some imperfections here and there, just so they don't sound too tight and they're a bit more organic. Next, you need a couple catchy synth melodies. So for this, I have two presets going. The first one is 80s FMEP in DX7, legitimately one of my favorite presets ever. And then with that, I'm using Don't Touch in Monomy. So for our final melody elements, I added some guitar. I have some chords doubled on the left and right. And then I have a pitch down guitar part that just follows the bass line. And then a separate guitar lead for the verse. And then for the rest of the track, it's pretty much all sequencing. I removed a bunch of elements to start the verse. And for every section of the verse, I'm changing the main lead element just to keep it interesting. And then finally, I have a drum fill and a riser going back into the chorus. everybody, just want to say a huge thank you for sticking around this long. I really hope you learned something. If you haven't already, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps the channel out a lot. If you want some sound kits, go to dreamerprod.com. Appreciate you sticking around. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.